Hello everyone, my name is Ashley Autenrieth. I am the Deer Program Biologist for the Department of Natural Resources, and today I'm going to talk to you about chronic waste and disease research in Michigan. This presentation was originally put together by Chad Stewart, our deer, elk, and moose management specialist, and I just want to emphasize that any questions you guys may have, Chad and I are happy to take any of those. Our contact information will be at the end of this presentation. What is the current status of chronic waste and disease in Michigan? So currently we have identified 124 positive cases. The first case was in 2015 in Ingham County. But since that time, as you can see, the majority of cases have been found in Montcalm and Kent counties. We have had a single positive case in the Upper Peninsula as well in 2018, and since that time we have not found another positive there since. Regarding research, early on the decision was made that any research done would guide long-term management of the disease. So we have committed to several research projects that are aimed at improving the understanding of the disease, the increased likelihood of rapid detection and response, and strategic surveillance. All of this was also done in anticipation of diminishing resources into the future as well. The first project was undertaken by Jonathan Trudeau at Michigan State University, and it looks at deer movement in urban and rural areas. This has an importance in understanding the magnitude of movements to help understand scale of our management zones. It's also important to incorporate movement data in understanding the spread potential and agent-based models. And a third benefit of something like this is that our hunters see research on the ground, which can always help stimulate conversation. So the project was overseen by John Cook, also at Michigan State University, and it integrated risk factors into predicting spread and occurrence of chronic waste and disease on the landscape using multiple variables, things like currently known CWD cases, carcass movement, out-of-state hunters, captive service facilities, etc. It prioritized then the highest risk areas with surveillance, and by doing so then could potentially lead to early detection and maybe give us an advantage in successful management. So the project I mentioned before kind of leads us into the next CWD research project, which is looking at evaluating management approaches. And so really the question is, how do we or can we make ground with management of chronic waste and disease? And that question is being asked by Noel Thompson and Irahuda Bessar at MSU. And so they are evaluating various management approaches, including baiting impacts, selective and non-selective culling, varying hunter-harvest regulations, and a combination of these factors. If there's an approach that shows a slowing or even a regression of the disease on the landscape, we want to have an understanding of what that looks like. So our next project is looking at deer movement in the Upper Peninsula. So as I already mentioned, we did have a single positive case in the Upper Peninsula in 2018. After we identified that positive case, we redistributed some collars into a new deer wintering complex where the chronic waste and disease deer had been identified. The work that was being done was by SUNY and had already been in progress for several years, but we went ahead and expanded their work to include the CWD areas in the Upper Peninsula. Understanding of deer movements in our affected area as well as our surrounding areas will help us define the scale of our management approach when combined with the surveillance information. So the final project is looking at the impacts of antler point restrictions on herd demographics. This was an approach that was requested by the Natural Resources Commission. What it will do is add antler point restrictions to 3 counties in our current CWD area in the Lower Peninsula. And it'll be a 4-point on a side rule that is meant to protect 50% or more of the yearling bucks. A paired plots approach will be taken in order to evaluate the impact of regulatory change. And it's going to be looking specifically at herd demographics, which may play a role in CWD transmission. This will be evaluated annually for the next several years. Those are the current research projects that are occurring, but there is more research to come. Nearly $5 million was allocated by the state legislature this past year, And so that really is a testament to the relationships built in Lansing since 2015 when chronic wasting disease was first discovered. So you may be wondering, how are we going to identify and evaluate future research projects for chronic wasting disease? And so that leads us to the BHAGs, or the Big Hairy Audacious Goals. And so what this did is allowed us to identify needs that we do have for future chronic wasting disease research. And there are 6 currently. The first need that we did identify was for a rapid test. And so this would help improve detection in deer, hopefully at the field level. We have reached basically maximum capacity at our MSU diagnostics lab. And so we are anticipating, with testing as many deer as we do, that this will lead to a delay in response to hunters. So basically people have to wait longer to get their test results. But if a rapid test can be developed, that would give us much greater capacity to very quickly test deer and be able to give results to hunters. The second need is improved technology to detect and treat environmental contamination. So basically what this would be is a screening test to be able to detect and treat environmental contamination. So we basically need a methodology to inactivate prions. The third need is improvement in efficiency and effectiveness of sampling and detection in disease management. So basically what this means is we need a targeted removal strategy that focuses on removing infected animals at higher rates than currently exhibited. So this would hopefully eliminate also the confusion between population reduction goals and disease management goals. The fourth need is increase in understanding of CWD's epidemiology. So what this means, we need a better understanding of prion shedding rates and persistence, transmission rates and modes that help better understand the relationship between frequency dependence and density dependence, and also the role that genetic variability and susceptibility plays. The fifth need is understanding the role of deer ecology and transmission dynamics. So basically to look at the influence of population management strategies on transmission, spread, and prevalence. So we just basically are looking for improved tools for population estimates to be able to do this. Finally, we need ways to improve communication and community engagement. So we need innovative education programs that increase awareness among diverse audiences. We also need to be able to increase hunters' confidence in our agency's ability to manage the disease, and increase acceptance of management outcomes and options. So that is all I have for current research that's occurring in Michigan regarding chronic wasting disease. But as I said in the beginning, Chad and I are more than happy to answer any questions that people do have. Here's our contact information, and thank you very much.